Hare Krishna.
Can you hear me?
Today we are hearing Mataji.
Okay. I'm having a little bit of a problem with my computer.
That's fine. It's completely fine. We come to the Pisana and the group. We are so fortunate to having Her Grace Phaneshvari Mataji today. She is giving class and Caitanya Caritamrta Madhya Lila 24 chapter. Verse number 177. All Mataji.
Hare Krishna?
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay.
All Mataji.
So your voice keeps going in and out. So let me know if you can hear me clearly or is it going in and out.
Oh, your voice is completely fine for me, Mataji, I think.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Hare Krishna. This is Phaneshvari Laksmi Devi Dasi. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to speak about Caitanya Caritamrta. You know, it's funny because when I'm given an opportunity to give class, it's kind of twofold. On one side, I'm excited because I get to talk about the Supreme Lord, but on the other side, there's a little bit of fear. So let's hope that love for the Lord overcomes my fear. So we are going to be doing verse number 177 of the Madhya Lila, chapter 24, entitled Explanations of the Atmarama verse. Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So the verse will first chant the Sanskrit actually. Ete linastavaya kila lokatirtham gayanta adi purushanupatam bhajante prayo ami munigana bhavadhiya mukhya gudham vanepi na jahatyanaghatmadaivam. We'll do word for word. Ete, all these. Alinaha, these. Tava, your. Yasaha, reputation. Akila, all. Lokatirtham, auspicious for the planets. Gayante, are singing. Adi Purusha, O original person. Anupatham, along the path. Bhajante, they are engaged in transcendental loving service. Prayaha, almost. Ami, these. Muniganaha, great saintly person. Bhavadiya, in relation with you. Mukhyaha, very advanced devotees. Gudham, unknown. Vane, in the forest. Api, although. Na, not. Jahati, give up. Anagha, O personality of transcendental goodness. Atmadaivam, their worshipable deity. Translation. O good fortune personified, O original personality of Godhead, all these bees are chanting about your transcendental fame, which will purify the entire universe. Indeed, they are following your path in the forest and are worshipping you. Actually, they are all saintly persons, but now they have taken the form of bees. Although you are playing like a human being, they could not forget that you are their worshipable deity. So this is a quotation from the Srimad Bhagavatam 10:15:6. Krishna and Balaram were just on the verge of boyhood and were entering the forest of Vrindavana when Krishna began to offer prayers to please Balaram. So I'd actually like to read the purport. It's a very beautiful purport. The purport. The word Gudham is significant in this verse. It indicates that although the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in his form of Krishna or Balarama, appears like an ordinary human being within the material world, great sages always recognize the Lord as the Supreme Absolute Truth. All the transcendental forms of Godhead are eternal and full of bliss and knowledge, exactly the opposite of our material bodies, which are temporary and full of misery and ignorance. One meaning of the word Tirtha is the means for crossing beyond material existence. Simply by hearing the glories of the Supreme Lord, or by chanting them, one immediately comes to the spiritual platform beyond material existence. Thus, the Lord's transcendental glories are here described as a Tirtha for everyone in the world. The word Gayantaha indicates the great sages give up their vows of silence and other selfish processes to glorify the activities of the Supreme Lord. Real silence means to not speak nonsense, to limit one's verbal activities to those sounds, statements, and discussions relevant to the loving service of the Supreme Lord. The word Anagha indicates that the Supreme Lord never performs sinful or offensive activities. The word also indicates that the Lord immediately excuses a sin or offense committed by a sincere loving devotee who may accidentally deviate from the Lord's service. In the specific context of this word, the word Anagha indicates that Lord Balarama was not disturbed by the beasts who were constantly following him, Anupatam. The Lord blessed them by saying, "O beasts, come into my confidential grove and feel free to taste its fragrance." Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanasalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Caitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganaragunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagan Lalita Shri Visakanitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Jayapataka Swami Niti Namine Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvasesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Starine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, Mukam Karoti Vachalam, Bhangam Mangayate Kirin, Yatrupatamaham Bande, Sri Gurum Dinatarinam, Paramananda Madhavam, Sri Chaitanya Nishwaram, Hari Om Tat Sat. So, it was very interesting for me. Actually, when Preeti Vilasini Mataji asked me to give class today, I was just, kind of hesitant. I was just wondering. So I did a little bit of reading to see where it was. Chaitanya Caritamrta is so overwhelming that, thank God for Kirta Sundari Mataji giving a synopsis of what we've studied so far. Because of that, at least I'm feeling that I'm instead of drowning, I'm floating a little bit, can understand maybe a little bit of the supreme knowledge that's there. But what really struck me is, maybe I felt a little bit that Krishna was blessing me, is that this verse actually that is from the Srimad Bhagavatam that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is quoting actually happens on Gopashtami. And today is Gopashtami. So I thought, oh my goodness, I have been truly blessed. So, and the other thought I was thinking is, I was telling her that I'm going to jump in head first into the deep end. And I said, but I guess it's the best place to jump in is when I'm amongst devotees who will catch me in case I drown. So thank you very much for this opportunity. So a little bit, and I know you had class this morning about Gopashtami. So I'm sure Bhiti Vilasini shared about the pastime of this, but so I'll just give a little bit of a synopsis of where this is. Two things. Number one, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving, describing to Sanatana Goswami about the Atmaram verse, giving the different definitions. He explains in the previous verses that one of the meanings for Muni is bees as well as Krishna, bees. Anyway, if we remember that the word bees also means, the word Muni also means bumblebees and birds. So then he goes on to quote this verse about the bees of the forest of Vrindavan. Okay, here it is. The word Muni also means bird and bumblebee. And this is in verse text 175. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quotes verses from the Srimad Bhagavatam and speaking about the birds, and then he's speaking about the bees. And so again, I'll read the translation for this verse. O good fortune personified, O original personality of Godhead, all these bees are chanting about your transcendental fame, which will purify the entire universe. Indeed, they are all following your path in the forest and are worshipping you. Actually, they are all saintly persons, but now they have taken the form of bees. Although you are playing like a human being, they could not forget that you are their worshipable deity. So this is where the reference to the bees comes into play. So this verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam, let's set the stage as to what's happening during this time. So as we know, Krishna and Balaram have just entered their Pauganda Lila, which is the age between 6 and approximately 10. And they have been given the responsibility of now taking care of the cows instead of just the calves. Before they were taking care of the calves. So now they are taking care of the cows. And they're given this responsibility. So it's beautifully described in this chapter how the boys are how they're playing in the forest. Not only playing in the forest, but it tells how in the beginning that the cowherd boys they would play and imitate the birds and the bees and then the peacocks and stuff. And then when they were tired, Sukadeva Goswami explains that Krishna would be sleeping, Balaram would be sleeping, and Krishna with his head in the lap of a cowherd boy, and then Krishna would be massaging his feet, and then he would be lying his head in somebody's lap, and somebody would be massaging his feet. So it's like a transcendental service train. It was just wonderful to picture this wonderful pastime of the Lord's doing this. And then it talks about how, in the previous to this chapter, previous to this verse, in verse 10:5, 10:15:5, you'll see in there that Krishna says, it's interesting how Vishnavati Chakravarti Thakur explains in the verse 10:3. Excuse me, sorry, it's 10:3. It says that Krishna is feeling that all of these wonderful, all the senses. It says, excuse me a minute, all the living senses. Says right here, Lord Krishna saw that the Vrindavan forest was giving pleasure to all 5 senses. The bees, the birds, and animals made charming sounds that brought sweet pleasure to the ears. The wind was faithfully rendering service to the Lord by blowing throughout the forest, carrying the cool moisture of a transparent lake, and thus giving pleasure to the sense of touch. By the sweetness of the wind, even the sense of taste was being stimulated, and the fragrance of lotus flowers was bringing pleasure to the nostrils. And the entire forest was endowed with heavenly beauty, which was giving spiritual bliss to the eyes. So this is the explanation, or the atmosphere in Vrindavan. This is what it's like in the spiritual world. That all of the different inhabitants of the spiritual world are actually enlightened beings. And Radhanath Swami Maharaj explains in reference to this verse 10.6 that all the creatures of Vrindavan are great souls, not just the bees. All the creatures of Vrindavan are great souls, who are enlightened beings whose whole purpose is to give pleasure to the Supreme Lord. And this verse 3 in this chapter explains, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains to us how all of those different living entities, with the service that they are rendering, are giving pleasure to the Lord. And then on top of that, if we go to the next verse in that, to set the mood, that, you know, Krishna, Balaram is actually telling them, come into the forest. He said, come into the forest and enjoy these wonderful aromas. It says in the passage, the Lord blessed him by saying, O bees, come into my confidential grove and feel free to taste its fragrance. So it's not just that the living entities, those spirit souls, those enlightened beings who are giving pleasure to the Lord, but the Lord himself is telling them, please come in and enjoy. You know, and my Guru Maharaj always explains, and Radhanath Swami also explains in this wonderful pastime, he gives a wonderful example of how that the bees, it's such a what do you say this? How do I say this? A joint venture. You know, it's everybody, such a mood of cooperation, that everybody is working together, that all of the living entities in the spiritual world, in Vrindavan, are working together in order to give pleasure to each other by serving the Lord. So Radhanath Swami gives a very nice example, when he was giving a talk on this verse, and he was explaining how the bees were the flowers were inviting the bees, come take my nectar, and then go give it to her. And then the bees were filling the nectar from them and enjoying, going from flower to flower. The bees were enjoying taking the nectar. The flowers were enjoying giving the nectar in order to please the Lord. And the Lord is telling the bees, come into my confidential grove and enjoy this fragrance. So it's just a mutual cooperation, you know. And we have this, you know, sometimes we have this mentality that, you know, why does Krishna have to be Lord? I mean, that's why we're here, right? It's like, why does Krishna have to be Lord? Why can't I be Lord? But we need to understand that this is what gives us pleasure. And the pleasure keeps increasing. And my Guru Maharaj explains very nicely that the gopis give pleasure to Krishna, and then Krishna is pleased at seeing the gopis being so enthralled at giving him pleasure. So it's a mutual thing. The devotees are enthralled by giving pleasure to Krishna. Krishna is enthralled to seeing the bliss of the devotees, and then again the devotees are enthralled, and it's infinite, and it keeps going on and increasing more and more. So this is that mood that is in Vrindavan during that time. This is the mood of Krishna and Balaram. It's not just we are serving them, we are getting ultimate, penultimate, infinite pleasure by serving them, and they get pleasure not just by the service. The service, they don't need all these things, right? They just get pleasure by seeing the love. That mutual sharing of love is so potent. And in this verse, that's the one thing I wanted to talk about, was that this mutual, you know, we're a mutually beneficial society where we benefit each other by giving service to the Lord. And Radhanath Swami explains that Srimati Radharani is actually empowers everyone to give pleasure to Krishna by their love. So she is, as we know, the epitome of pure devotion, of pure prema. And it's through her that we are empowered to give this service, give this love to the Lord. And so that's why we request her, give us that connection. Give us that, teach us how you give that love so that we can also embody that love. So it says in here that these sages, what are they? These sages in the form of these birds, in the form of these bees. These sages are chanting the names of the Lord, right? It says, these bees are all great sages and most elevated devotees of yours. They are worshiping you by following you along the path and chanting your glories, which are themselves a holy place for the entire world. So that's the other lesson, or the other idea we get, the other understanding we get from this verse, that not only is this a mutual beneficial for everybody, the living entities who are pure enlightened beings serving the Lord who's welcomed them into his grove, this wonderful feeling of love, but also that the bees are all chanting the glories of the Lord. So this chanting, and it says in this verse that this word tirtha means, what does it mean? Definition of tirtha is the means for crossing beyond material existence. And we have been given a special gift in the holy name, in chanting of the holy name, in chanting of the glories, the guna lila, right, of the Lord, nama guna lila, the name, the qualities and the pastimes of the Lord. And so these bees / sages are transcendently chanting the glories of the Lord. And it was really, really, I was really, how do I say, excited by this whole view I had, this whole pastime of the bees chanting, because I remember ever since I was a little girl, whenever I would walk into the temple during morning japa chanting time, I always used to tell people, it's just like a bunch of bees humming. I don't know how many of you feel like that, but when you walk into the temple and they're all chanting, and everybody's chanting at a certain, it's early in the morning, so the chanting is just like a low hum. And it's just, to me, every time it sounds like a bunch of bees humming. So when this verse was given to me and I was visualizing this wonderful pastime of the sages, the bees chanting the glories of the Lord, I could see it. I could see it, I could feel it, and I could understand it. It was so real to me because of that whole memory for me of walking into the temple every morning and hearing the humming, hearing the chanting of the holiness of the Lord. And so this whole, this is our way of connecting. This is our way of connecting up to the Lord. This is our entrance, our direct connection to the spiritual kingdom. This is the chanting of the holy name, and this pure chanting of the holy name is how we can become connected. And the other word in this verse, gayantaha, in the 26 qualities of a devotee, it says one of the qualities of a devotee is that he is silent. And it's explained that silence doesn't mean mono, doesn't mean completely just not speaking. Silence means not wasting your breath on unnecessary talk. That is what silence means. Because only by speaking about the Lord can we help ourselves and can we help others. Isn't that why we chant the holy names of the Lord when we're chanting our rounds? Isn't that why we chant loud? Why do we chant loud? So not only do we benefit ourselves, but we benefit all the other living entities that are there, that are listening, that unbeknownst to them, that just by hearing the names of the Lord, that they can connect to their original pure identity as servitor of the Lord. So, as devotees, our whole mood is to connect people, connect ourselves to the spiritual kingdom, connect ourselves to Krishna by chanting about the holy name, by chanting about the Lord, by chanting our morning rounds so much with so much dedication and love, and understanding that Krishna is listening and Krishna is exchanging love with us through that whole mentality. Another thing that I wanted to talk about, and the other thing that came to my mind, was just the bees in general. I think many of us know about bees and stuff, but it was interesting that when I was actually doing a little bit of research on, on giving this class, that I found this article in the Back to Godhead from many, many years ago. I think it was 73 or 83 or something like that. And it was actually about bees. And I don't know, I have not been to the temple in Hawaii, and I don't know if they still have bees. But it was about a devotee who actually decided to start what do you call it? Collect bees, has to start a bee farm or whatever it's called, to collect honey. And he was explaining in that how the bees, the way they are, there's one queen bee, right? And then there's a whole bunch of worker bees. So the whole mood of those honey bees, the worker bees, is that he was explaining how they have they exemplify the spirit soul's, natural tendency or the eternal nature to serve and to honor and to love. And so the whole point of these bees is that they collect honey from everywhere in order to come and give it to the queen. So then, and he was giving the example, or he was citing the example of how just like, Krishna is our queen, right? And our own mood, our whole mood is to serve him. And he was giving the example that also if there's no queen, that the bees just don't know what to do. They're completely rudderless. They have no focus, and they don't know what to do. And so it's like brought to mind to me that's just like, if we don't have Krishna in the center, then we don't know where we're going. We don't know what we're doing. And Radhanath Swami Maharaj gives a wonderful example that he was explaining that, by having Krishna in the center, he said, then you are in Vaikuntha. Srila Prabhupada says that is Vaikuntha when Krishna is the center. And this is bhakti, and this is the spiritual world. That having Krishna in the center, focusing our love on serving him, and at the same time encouraging others to also come to the point of service. And again, Gayanti, chanting the names of the Lord, and giving all the other living entities in this world the opportunity, particularly in this month of Kartik. Kartik is such a powerful month for us, because there's so many opportunities for us to do wonderful outreach programs by doing the Damodara Vrata, offering the opportunity for other people to come and do Arati, ghee lamp offering to the Lord in order to connect them. So, just to recap, and let me think if I forgot anything that I wanted to say. But, this verse is for us, particularly, as I said, on this day, Gopashtami. Krishna is in the forest with his brothers and his cowherd friends, enjoying the forest of Vrindavan. And this is a mutual exchange of love. The Lord is inviting the bees to come into his confidential grove. The flowers are opening themselves up in order for the bees to get the honey. They're all exchanging this loving attitude. All of the trees, all of the senses, all of the different living entities. Remember, everything in the spiritual kingdom birds, bees, trees, grasses, stones, everything is an enlightened, pure being. So all of them are getting enjoyment by serving the Lord in many, many different ways. And the Lord himself is, as I said before, Srila Prabhupada quotes in, cites Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in explaining that all of the living entities are giving pleasure to all the senses of the Lord. The breezes, the scents, the flowers, the fruits, the sense of touch, the eyes, the beautiful, beautiful panorama of views that the Lord sees. And then also the bees are chanting and the sages are chanting all the glories of the Lord. And so we too must chant these glories of the Lord. These two must come to that understanding by keeping Krishna in the center, by encouraging our fellow devotees, by the spirit of cooperation and mutual love for our Lord, that we can actually have Vaikuntha in our families, in our temples. And as Radhanath Swami says, this is bhakti, this is true love, and this is prema. So I think that's all I have right now. Thank you very much for this opportunity. If there's any questions or comments, please, if I have made any mistakes, please do excuse me. As I said, excited on one side to give class because it is Gopashtami. I feel very much blessed to be given this opportunity, and also to speak about Krishna during this time at Kartik. And please, as I said, if there's any corrections, any questions, any comments, please do add. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Phaneshvari, Laksmi. That was a lovely class. It was so nice, especially as you were speaking about the behavior of the bees, how they would do in relationship with our condition and our how we need to put actually Krishna in the center. That was very, very nice. That comparison was very nice. And actually it was such a surprise to see that this verse was also from the 15th chapter, because just morning I just read the first verse and I thought, okay, that's it. And then Krishna goes and he kills, he goes to the Talavan and there Pralamdasur past happens and that's it. But then I didn't even go through these verses, and now that you are reading the 5 and 6 verses, I was like, wow, these are all so beautiful. Such a beautiful meditation on Gopashtami. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This was a beautiful class. Yeah, a lot to think about the bees and our comparison with our situation. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
So lovely class, Mataji, and I really like your experience, even though you were very little child and then you were thinking about this bombing, means that is a sound, means how Mataji is so fortunate, Thank you for sharing, Mataji, actually, and such a lovely class. I really like Mataji. Thank you.
Thank you. I was just thinking that as Preeti Laksmi was speaking, that when I was reading the verses, and I read this verse, and then I was reading in front and reading back, I was thinking, I was just so overwhelmed by how much, as Preeti Laksmi was explaining, that there's so much attention, to the details of if we've only, I wish I could only really feel that whole mood continuously when I'm chanting. Continuously chanting, feel myself in the presence of the Lord. And I know me, my mind is so distracted all the time that this was kind of like a lesson or a message to me that we need to really, really be connected when we're chanting.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna, is there any comment or question for Mataji?
Hare Krishna, Phaneshvari Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. Thank you, Mataji, for this beautiful class, and I liked all the points we covered, and especially the point of being silent is not quiet and talking not unnecessary things. That point I really like, Mataji. And rest of the class is also very nice, Mataji. Thank you so much, Mataji, for taking this class and giving some valuable points, Mataji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Supriya. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. This is my first class. I recently joined the group. So I'm really fortunate to, by mercy of Krishna, I really felt that the class was really good, and I especially loved the example of bees. That without the queen, the other bees are, they don't know what to do. So I felt that it was a really good example.
All glories to devotees. Yes, Krishna, that's what I'm saying. Krishna always gives me, like I said, this is everything from what I've read in Prabhupada's purports, and then, in the Back to Godhead magazine, not even out of just the plain internet. So I just thought it was quite a blessing that Krishna gave me that insight. So, it was all mercy of Srila Prabhupada and the devotees. Thank you. And your name, Mataji?
Sorry, my name is Swati Mataji.
Swati Mataji. And you are from?
I'm from Alpharetta, and I recently came to Alpharetta from North Carolina. I just graduated from NC, and I came here for the job opportunity.
Okay, nice. I'm sorry. Tell me again where you are.
Sorry.
Where again? The name of the city you are now?
Alpharetta.
El Cerrito. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, very nice. Please do join us every morning.
Yeah, sure, Mataji. That would be a great opportunity for me to develop in the spirituality and Krishna consciousness.
Yes, Mataji. Very nice. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Phaneshvari, Laksmi, Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Very, very beautiful class, Mataji. As you mentioned in the beginning of the class, how fortunate you are. You got a chance to speak after a long time, and you got a verse that is referring to Gopastami.
Yeah.
So lucky, Mataji. You are so lucky. And the way you said in the beginning, I want to give the class. I'm so excited about that, but at the same time I am fear. The love for Krishna remove the fear. That was so heart touching, Mataji.
Right.
I think it is for everybody like that. If I am not talking wrong, but so true, Mataji. Everybody want to preach. Everybody wanted to glorify Krishna, but the time comes, you have a fear inside.
Yeah.
One day we all should, I mean, especially I'm talking for myself. I would overcome my fear and speak for the love of the God,
right.
So that I will be satisfied. I mean, like Prabhupada encourages everybody to become a preacher here, and only the thing success is like fear.
Yeah.
Oh, may I speaking wrong, or I'm going out of the topic. It's like that.
Yeah.
So true, Mataji. It was heart touching for me. One day, for the love of Krishna, will come out of that fear, and we will try to preach, Mataji. Hari Bol, Hari Krishna.
Hari Bol.
Nice, Mataji.
Thank you so much, Vinaya Mataji. Which reminds me actually something that Radhana Swami was explaining, which was very, very sweet. And he was explaining how he was telling a story about himself. Maybe I'll share it, but he was saying how that the bees here, that they sting out of fear. But he says the bees in the spiritual world, they sting, but they sting out of love. And he said it doesn't hurt. It was very cute. He said it's just you're like in ecstasy when they're stinging. And so when you said that, fear, it just reminded me of that. And then he was sharing a pastime he was explaining. It was quite funny. He starts out and he says, can I share something with you? It's kind of a secret. And of course everybody says yes, yes. And then he says, no, I don't think I'm going to share it. I don't think I'm going to share it. I was like, what? And so then he shares that he was explaining how a pastime with bees with him, that he was in some place and there were many, many people. There's people of all ages. there are people, old, there are women, there are brahmacharinis, there are brahmacharis, there are, senior disciples and all different, and the public out there. And as he was, and I guess I think they were chanting or something, Kirtan was happening. And then he said, you all know what a sannyasi wears, the lungi, the kind of dhoti the sannyasi wears. It's just like wrapped around and every, yes. And he says, well, we were just chanting along, and all of a sudden, he said, all these bees went up into my dhoti. And here I was chanting, and they were inside there, and they were stinging me all over the place. And I was wondering, what can I do? What can I do? He goes, and he says, I can't just take off my dhoti because then I'll be a Naga Baba or something. And then he started, and he said, suddenly they were stinging me all over the place. And then finally, somehow I got out of there and went away and took off my dhoti and cleaned, let out all the bees. But they were stinging so much all over my legs everywhere. And then he said, but the bees, they sting out of fear, and that's why they stung. But in the spiritual kingdom, they sting out of love, and it's not painful. It's just wonderfully ecstatic. So you just have to listen to the way he tells such funny stories, and it was just very sweet listening to him. The other thought that came to my mind when you were speaking was the first time that I was asked to give class for the temple, and I kept saying, no, I can't. That day, one of the classes that were sent to our JPS group to listen to was a class by Guru Maharaj, where somebody actually asked them the question that, he said, everywhere you go, you give class. Sometimes you know what verse is coming, sometimes you don't. You just, show up, and then you ask to give class, and you give class. He goes, aren't you afraid? And Guru Maharaj said, why should I be afraid? He said, I'm just speaking through my spiritual master. My spiritual master is speaking, I'm not me. So I just expect, I know that he is going to give me the words to speak. So why should I fear? And so after I heard that class, I thought, if I really, really trusted my spiritual master, if I really, really had that true faith, then I should also jump in and just trust that he'll take care of it. And without fail, every single solitary time he gives me, this is a perfect example. The whole things that he gave me, to talk about, the bees and everything. So jump in, Vinaya Mataji. Trust.
Thank you, Mataji, for encouraging. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Thank you for sharing that, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for sharing both these incidents, Mataji. Very, very sweet. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Is there any question or comment for Mataji? Otherwise, we can end the call, paying obeisances to our guest, Phaneshvari Mataji, and all the devotees. Vansakalpatarubhesha kripa sindhuriyadivya patitanam bhavantabhyo vaishnavabhyo namaha. Nantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Our great Phaneshvari Mataji ki jai. Chaitanya Caritamrta ki jai. Thank you so much, Mataji, and all the devotees for joining.